I nearly scrapped this vehicle. Nearly. But I didn't. And I was this close. This close.
But if I would have scrapped it, I wouldn't have learned how to avoid this scenario in the future.
So, when this happened, and like every Land Rover owner, you'll dread this sound, the bongs that go off, and then the Christmas tree, Three Amigos, and the HDC System Fault. And first, I should probably say, as a bit of a disclaimer, that this is not a how-to video because I'm not a mechanic. But I do watch a lot of videos on YouTube that help me learn what I'm supposed to do with this vehicle when it does go wrong, which is frequently. So I thought it only fair that I reciprocate the favours that I've had from watching other people fix theirs. And if you have a similar sort of fault, then maybe this will help you. So what exactly happened with it? Driving along at 60 miles an hour and suddenly I just lost all power. Then the bongs happened, HDC system fault. I get stuck on the side of the road and unfortunately ended up having to get recovered. The car would just crank but would not start. So when I got it back, I scanned it, read the faults, which came up with this fault, P11093-23 or something like that, which basically said fuel rail pressure fault. So it's not getting enough fuel. There was three main things that
Wrong, it actually wasn't any of these three things.
So it could have been low pressure fuel pump, it could have been the fuel rail pressure sensor at fault, or it could be the high pressure fuel pump, which is the worst out of those three. One of those replacement would cost about 800 quid. So I sat on it for a while and thought what I'm going to do, and I was convinced that I would end up scrapping the vehicle or breaking it for parts, but I just couldn't let this die. So I thought I better diagnose it properly and actually find out, other than just reading the codes, what's wrong with it. So the first thing that I did was test the Schrader valve. This right here is a Schrader valve, and basically when I went to check to make sure it's not the low pressure fuel pump, you press that nipple inside there in and it should squirt out fuel. Like you can see there's a little bit of fuel coming out now, and that just shows that the low pressure fuel pump is sending fuel up here from the tank, and then that then goes into the high pressure fuel pump. This thing here is a fuel rail pressure sensor, and that's quite common to go on these as well. So if you do have this fault, that's worth checking, because I think the code for that is the same as in the high pressure fuel pump. Fuel rail pressure sensor, which is sort of like here, is a really easy thing to have to fix. So I took a punt and changed that to see if it would fix it, which it didn't. So those two things were really easy things to check. And the high pressure fuel pump is a really not easy thing to do or check. But I thought I'll at least take it out anyway. If I do scrap this vehicle, break it for parts, at least I've taken the high pressure fuel pump out and tried it. So I thought I'd give it a go, and it's known to be an absolute pain. So there I am, taking everything apart to gain access to the high pressure fuel pump. The butterfly valve needs to come out, the oil filter needs to come out, and then there's an oil separator thing, which is an absolute pig, by the way, to get out. It's so awkward, but that just pulls out. And then a load of fuel lines need to be undone to gain access to the rear of the high pressure fuel pump. And at the rear there's a case with a belt, and the belt needs to come off before you take the fuel pump off. As soon as I got the cover off, I found this. The belt was snapped. So it was a bit of a hurrah moment, because that means it's an easy fix and it's not timed up. So if it does break, it doesn't matter. It's not going to throw anything out of time and ruin your engine. And I just didn't think that that would have broken. It didn't occur to me. Now that being said, I am starting the video at a point where I'd still not fixed the Land Rover, and even though the belt was snapped, I'd not yet got the new one in. And when I do get the new one in, it's not guaranteed that it's going to work. So, be it not being a mechanic, this is how I did it.
First things first, make sure you order the correct part. A new belt, it's important it comes with a new tensioner pulley, and you'll see why later. Then take the cover out the way and have a look down the back. For me, I just wanted to familiarise myself with what I was actually looking at with. This is the drive for the high pressure fuel pump. This is the tensioner pulley. This is the drive for the cam. Then I took the tensioner pulley off, a 13mm ratchet spanner. As you can see, it's really tight in there, so a ratchet spanner helps. I then used a flathead screwdriver just to help prise the tensioner off. Once off, you can see there's a little notch, should be the same for the new one that goes in, that just helps it seat correctly in the right place. As you can see on the new one, and this is why it's important, this pulley is spring loaded, and there's a key in there that you need to leave in until you're ready with the belt in place. Feel is your friend here. I found it much easier just not to look, but to feel the belt, make sure that all the teeth are mating correctly onto each drive. Once I did that, I just made sure with the camera that I could visually see that and feel it, just to make double sure. And it's then time to take the retaining pin out of the pulley, so that sets the spring off and adds the correct tension to the belt. Quick, that's not going anywhere, tug, and we're all good. Then it was time to wrestle everything back in, and I mean wrestle it back in. This is really tight on space, this job. Which brings me on to my first top tip. A little magnet on the end of a spring, because I kept dropping the nuts. Second top tip is wear gloves, because as I was ragging around this, I think it's a butterfly valve, my hand slipped onto the fan cover. Hence the zinc tape bandage. But pushing on, then it was just a case of tightening everything back down, and
woo! I was assuming the worst, but this Land Rover just keeps coming back from the dead, so it's going to be staying a little while longer, it looks. Now obviously that worked, and here I am now out in the Peak District with my Land Rover, and it's a nice sunny day and everything's great, but I still might sell this vehicle. It still draws time away from my kit car, but the problem is I had such a good time driving this across Europe to Turkey and back, which you can see in this video here. I've made that many memories that I just don't want to get rid of it, and I want to keep it. So I'm still on the fence, and I'm 50-50. I'm just going to have to make some use of it for now. At least now it is working.